Have you ever struggled with knowing you deeply love God and still feel like you can't connect with Him or that He's distant? Maybe you've wondered why prayer sometimes feels difficult, or why your mind races during worship, or why you know truth intellectually, but your body still feels anxious, numb, or shut down. A lot of Christians assume or are told this is purely a spiritual issue. We end up thinking maybe I don't trust God enough. Maybe my faith is weak. Maybe I just need to pray more. But what if a part of the issue is actually biological? What if your nervous system plays a much bigger role in your relationship with God than you realize? Because the reality is connection requires safety. And your nervous system is constantly asking one question: am I safe right now? Before we jump in today, I linked a free resource for you in the video description below. It's my nervous system ladder to help you identify the nervous system states and which one you might be in: fight, flight, freeze, or shut down. So you can download that today, and I'm praying it serves you well. So what is nervous system regulation actually? Let's make this simple. Dysregulation just means your system is overwhelmed, stressed, or out of sync. Something as simple and as common as negative thinking can send your mind and body into a stressed state. It is communication from your body. It's not a character flaw. It's not a lack of willpower, and it doesn't mean that you're a bad Jesus follower. Regulation is your body's ability to feel grounded, connected, calm, present, and socially engaged. This is important because humans are relational beings. We are designed for connection. And from a nervous system perspective, connection only happens well when the body perceives safety. This is why when your nervous system is regulated, you can learn, you can listen, you can connect, you can be present. But when your body perceives danger, everything changes. Your body shifts into survival mode or the sympathetic state. An example here that I like to use is thinking about toddlers, right? It's pretty obvious when they are dysregulated. And if you've ever tried to talk to a toddler while they are having a tantrum or they're dysregulated, they aren't hearing a word you are saying. So this is where so many people can feel shame because you've been told, just relax, trust God, be anxious about nothing. But biology doesn't work that way, and your nervous system is automatic. When your brain detects danger, your body activates a stress response before conscious thought even happens. Your heart rate increases, breathing changes, your muscles tense, digestion slows down. This is fight or flight, and it's not bad. It's actually God's designed protection. The problem is not the existence of these responses. The problem is when your body gets stuck there or we try to make up stories about these states. And honestly, so many of us can be living in that fight or flight chronically. We live in a culture of constant stimulation, pressure, busyness, noise, urgency, and overload. People almost brag about being exhausted now. Oh, I'm just so busy. But your nervous system was not designed to stay activated all the time. And eventually, your body starts communicating that overload, sometimes as anxiety, sometimes as irritability, sometimes as numbness or exhaustion. In psychology, historically, we've pathologized people at times when they've been in these states and slapped a diagnostic label on an experience that is actually an expected response when we consider the design of our nervous system. And then worse, we feel shame because our modern faith would say that we aren't trusting God if we are experiencing these feelings of anxiety or nervous system dysregulation. Now, here's where it gets really important spiritually. The nervous system doesn't just affect how you respond to your stress levels, it affects your capacity for relationship, including your relationship with God. Because when your body is stuck in survival mode, it becomes harder to feel present, harder to feel connected, harder to access peace, harder to rest, and harder to receive love. Not because God left, but because protection changes perception. This is one reason why someone can love God authentically, know scripture, have sincere faith, and still feel internally disconnected. Your body may simply not feel safe enough to settle into connection. And honestly, I think we see this principle throughout scripture. God consistently moves toward people with presence, attunement, reassurance, and relational safety. Think about Elijah after Mount Carmel in 1 Kings chapter 19. God does not meet him first with correction. He meets him with rest, food, gentleness, and presence. Or look at Jesus with the disciples. They struggled to believe or remember who they were with. And guys, they had Jesus right there in the flesh with them. But instead of shaming or condemning, over and over he says to them, "Peace be with you." These examples of God's attunement to the needs of the whole person creates right hemisphere to right hemisphere processes that help regulate emotion and shift perception of an experience. So why does safety matter so much? Safety is essential to our spiritual and emotional maturity. Safety is what allows the nervous system to settle. And when the nervous system shifts out of the sympathetic or that survival mode, we can receive, integrate, and connect. Our range or social behaviors is reliant on our physiology. Jesus knew this, which is why he healed people physically. Your nervous system state is also deeply connected to how we as humans grow and learn. When the body perceives threat, the brain narrows, but when the body perceives safety, the brain becomes more flexible, relational, and receptive. This is why regulation matters spiritually. Now, hear me clearly here, not because calmness saves you, but because chronic survival states can make connection feel super difficult. How can we love God with all our heart, all our mind, and all our strength if we don't feel connected? Willpower will only get you so far. Loving our neighbor as ourselves from a place of duty or because we know it's what we should do ends up being hollow and just another task if we can't connect with the heart of God. I think many Christians mistake nervous system dysregulation for spiritual failure. And sometimes what we call a lack of faith is actually a nervous system on high alert. And what we might call apathy is really a shutdown nervous system. And what we might call avoidance is a nervous system in protection. The cool thing about your nervous system is that it doesn't lie. It just responds. So we can decode those messages that it's sending without the story of shame wrapped in. It can be a wonderful clarifying tool for how we need to move forward. Let's talk about the nervous system and God's design. One of the major players here is your vagus nerve. This nerve connects the brain to the heart, the lungs, the digestive system, facial expressions, and social engagement systems. It is deeply involved in helping your body shift into a state of safety and connection. And what's fascinating is how many simple things support vagal tone. Slow breathing, singing, laughter, gentle eye movement, safe relationships, touch, rest, crying. In other words, the body was designed with pathways back to regulation. And honestly, I don't think this is accidental. I think God designed humans to heal in and through connection. This is one reason isolation is so painful to the nervous system. We were not created merely to intellectually understand love. We were created to experience it relationally. When you look at the life of Jesus, he constantly created safety around people. The more I've read scripture from this lens, the more I've been in awe of his intentionality. He slowed down. He noticed people. He met people with what they needed most in that moment. He touched lepers. He ate meals with the most hated. He reassured fearful disciples constantly. Even after the resurrection, his first words repeatedly were, "Do not be afraid. Peace be with you." And I think many Christians have unknowingly built relationships with God centered around fear, pressure, and performance. I know I have in past seasons. But fear narrows the nervous system. It keeps us separated from God's love. And the result of the view of God that has been distant or judgmental is either rigidity or chaos in our own thinking and behaviors. I see so many Christians become obsessed with following the rules so they don't feel ashamed, or give up completely because it all feels too overwhelming. Neither of these are good places to operate from. They are not safety. Safe connection, on the other hand, opens the nervous system. And this is part of why understanding the nervous system matters. Not to replace faith with science, but to understand the wisdom of how God designed the human body because it serves and supports our faith. So if your body feels exhausted, anxious, shut down, constantly on, you are not just a hopeless sinner. You are also a body responding to the environment around you. And your inability to instantly calm yourself is not proof of weak faith. Your nervous system may simply need consistent experiences of safety. Small moments repeated over time. Because that's how the nervous system learns, through repeated new evidence. Moments where your body learns, I am safe, I am held, I do not have to stay in survival mode. His regulation is not about becoming emotionless or constantly calm. It's about becoming safe enough to not be afraid of how you feel. And I think that connection is crucial in our walk with God. If this resonated with you today, let me know in the comments. What do you notice about your own nervous system states and how that impacts the ways in which you connect with God? You can find my nervous system ladder in the video description to help you answer this question and to get more clarity on the nervous system states. Praying this served you and blessings on you today.